Check this out.
Okay. And we're back. Go ahead.
Well, Sam and Jill, we are so excited to be with you both today and learn a little bit more about the great work that you guys are doing. So our team with Because One and Synergized just so much enjoy coming together with nonprofit organizations and serving you guys, supporting you, and just shedding the light on what you're doing. So share with us a little bit about the mission and the impacts that you guys are making in the community.
Sure. I can start. I'll let Jill start. I want to do that out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the mission that we have is to serve those in the communities, but we like to call our nonprofit an a la carte nonprofit.
Okay.
So we do events and projects as they come, as we're notified of them. And then we also help larger nonprofits. So say they have like a specific home or family or project that they need assistance with, we would bring together people to do that.
Very cool. And Sam, do you mind sharing a little bit about how it all got started and kind of how this organization came to be?
Yeah, certainly. So it started kind of off the back with Universal Roofing. My dad and my uncle started that business 35 plus years ago. And since then, we've had quite a journey of just doing good projects and a journey through that. My dad always talks about how doing the right thing was instilled from him or into him by his grandparents who helped raise them. And that's really impacted his life. And so throughout the course of time, I worked with him growing up and had like a job at like 15 and was helping him do roofing, and then went on to college and came back to work with him. And during that stretch, he had always done projects for people for free. And so oftentimes it's like there was an insurance denial or somebody who couldn't afford to do a repair or just somebody who like really was down on their luck. He would oftentimes just take care of it. And he would leverage the relationships that he had built with the partners through that business to provide value to somebody in need. And so around 2020, 2021, I came to him and I said, hey, we should really formalize this. At that time, we had a lot of customers and a lot of relationships from folks that wanted to help further our impact. And so I said, let's take their money. Let's go do more with them. And that was honestly, I think it was a little bit tough for my dad to do that because he doesn't want the recognition. He doesn't want anything. However, he's not foolish and he understood the value in that. So we did it. He got started. And so since then, we continue to look for more projects to do. In between now and then, we've sold the business, and so my dad is semi-retired, and Universal Cares is a standalone, nonprofit 501c3, and so we just continue to take those early efforts and compound them into more. So it's not always roofing projects anymore. It's kind of whatever people need. And so oftentimes I'll ask of folks, and we would ask it of you guys, is think of somebody in your life that has a need, and then if there's some way that we can help provide value or impact them or get them what they need, we'd like to do that. And because my dad has a million relationships and those people have a lot of relationships, you guys have relationships, we all kind of bring the right people to the table and say, okay, how do we help this person that needs a new fence? How do we help this person that has a roof leak? That might be one we can handle a little bit easier. How do we help somebody who just lost their parents? And then what do we do from there? So oftentimes we don't have the answer. And so sometimes we are the solution, and other times we're looking for the solution. And that's kind of how we got to where we're at today.
Very, very cool. I think sometimes it is just a matter of providing those connections, right? But in order to build that sustainability so that you can continue on making those impacts, you also have to have the support, right? And I think a lot of times it is a matter of asking for what those needs are and letting people that want to help and want to support you do so. So great job, pulling all of that together.
I think sometimes, or a lot of times, people they have a hard time asking for help or also like finding that voice. We don't have any problem with that. We're happy to ask for help. We're happy to give help. It doesn't come naturally, but we're, vulnerable enough or strong enough or however you want to think about it to be able to say like, yeah, you need help and I'm going to help you, and then go out and ask for help. And I think the people that work with us today, Jill being one of them and my dad, we're not afraid to ask. We're not afraid to go get it. And what may happen is it might be a slower growth, but it'll be really genuine and authentic and organic. And that's really what we're trying to focus on, is growing that from like the ground up.
I'll just add one of the things that we do focus on. I didn't think that your dad is big about. He's our founder. His name is Rob Yeri. Is getting youth involved in volunteering and being a part of something greater in their community. So one of the things we did do was up at the Carmel Clay Parks, we had a clean the parks day for them. And before the event started, they explained to them, this is why volunteering is important. This is why your parks are important. So we had over 100 Carmel basketball players come to that. He's very big about getting youth involved. And another way that he gets youth involved is the college level with the Butler softball and baseball teams. He's had them do a couple different projects with us where we'll go to an event or one of our projects, and he'll have them come, and we'll do the same thing where we explain. We actually went to New Hope of Indiana and spent an afternoon, and they did karaoke with the individuals. They painted their fingernails, they played games, and they had a little lesson beforehand of, this is what New Hope does. Connections like that are things that he also uses to kind of not only the Universal Cares Advantage, but also to volunteering in the community and helping kids learn and grow, and know that that's something they should continue to do further into their lives.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's such a difference between the generations in terms of why we give and how we give, whether that's with our time or talents or treasures. And I love that you guys are being really purposeful with those younger generations to say, okay, this is why volunteering is important, and then letting them actually see the impact that they're having that day.
Right.
Those younger generations, we all innately have that desire to make a difference and to help one another. The millennials and younger, I'm saying millennials because that's what I am. We really have to know what the impact is to keep us coming back and to, just nurture that piece in all of us that wants to help one another. With Because One, we're always looking for that one moment of impact. And we believe in the power of one good deed and how that can trickle into so much more that oftentimes we aren't even really able to pinpoint. So each of you, if you guys could share one of those moments of impact that keeps you coming back for more. When you think about Universal Cares, you're like, that's why we do what we do. Can you speak to that?
Sure. I think there's a lot that I could choose from, but going off of the theme about the generational, speaking of, a really clear one stands out to me. And so at Cox Hall Gardens over in Carmel, it's a park that my dad walks in like all the time. We probably find him there right now. and it's just a park close to his house, right? And so however, that's the place that we've also donated our time, and there's a little children's garden that's there. That's wonderful. So more than once we've been there with one of the Carmel High School basketball teams, just like mulching and working on those little buildings. The most recent time that we worked on that project, we did some exterior work on the little buildings as well. And so there's a very colorful roof that's up there. And my wife and I and a couple of the volunteers painted it, put it up there. It's rainbow color.
Okay. Yeah.
But while we were there, Chris Stice and some of the other folks from Carmel Clay Parks, I got an opportunity to speak, and that moment that I just got to say, like, oh, I really like helping our parks. I like, and just kind of walking my brain through it, speaking to maybe 60, 70 people, and have a full circle moment, because this is the park that my dad visits every all the time, but it's a park that I lived close to and I was bringing my son to. And so not only was he able to impact me by bringing me into a place that has become special to him, but then I also was able to impact it by bringing my son there, and having that full circle moment of 3 generations in the same little park that, doesn't mean a whole lot, but we really all, 3 generations really gave back to this. And I get to instill those lessons that my dad instilled into me, and you don't get a whole lot of opportunities to do that every time. Right. So
yeah,
that one stood out.
Special. I like that.
I would say that my most impactful moment was I worked with Rob and Sam at the roofing company before Rob retired. And then I left because I enjoyed working with Rob, and I just kind of didn't want to continue with the new business owners anyway. So they asked me to come back. And when I came back, we actually were doing the Softball Slam Fest. That's one of our fundraisers each year. But those funds helped put a roof on a home at New Hope of Indiana. They're one of our bigger nonprofits that we support. And that's what they do is they house individuals with disabilities. And I have an older sister who would need those services if she wasn't planning to live with me. So I always have thought that God chose that moment to bring me back because he knew they would need my support and my enthusiasm for that project specifically, because they were putting that roof on those individuals' homes. And just to get to be a part of that was very impactful to me and very important to me just based on my life's history. So I think that was the perfect time for me to come back. And I've been glad that I have ever since, because we have done quite a lot in the past year. But each moment is impactful to me. Just kicking off with that was, I think, God saying to me, "You're where you need to be."
Yeah, this is where you should be. I love moments like that too, because it is, sometimes that can be a little bit of a leap of faith. And when you just have those reassurances that like, this is right where you need to be, it makes, you feel good moving forward. I'm going to come back to the idea of the a la carte nonprofit. Can you give some examples of like some projects that you've worked on? Is it mostly construction based, or like what kind of needs are you serving?
Go ahead.
You can both answer.
Yeah, I'll give a couple examples and then I'll let Jill give a couple of examples. Well, one that's like pretty near to my heart was one of the first projects that we started with. It was a previous customer that had a leak, and we had gone out there, and the intent was to help them just solve that problem. However, the family experienced just an absolutely tragic situation kind of in the middle of this, of us just helping solve this problem. And like, there wasn't a need, and then there became a need. The husband lost his wife and his two twin daughters in a like crazy car accident, and they were on their way back from church, and it was a whole thing. And it like tore up our entire group of volunteers and coworkers, and we decided at that time, like, this dude's get whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So
Whatever he eats.
Yeah.
we put a new roof on his house, and we put in a porch swing, and we put in our rain catchment system, and we did a landscaping, and we just like, it was way more about whatever was a burden to that guy than it was to like just a construction project. And then another early project that we did was, there's a wonderful woman, her name is Esther. She lives in Indianapolis, and she used to work at Lilly, and she teaches inner city kids how to be junior master gardeners. These are kids will grow their own food, then they sell their own food, and then they give back to their community. And so we went down, and at the time we put a new roof on that home, because hers is a full nonprofit as well. It's the Felici Kaiwat Center. But we brought about 100 Carmel basketball players down there as well. Everybody worked side by side, hand in hand, to bring these gardens back to where they need to be in the early spring. Meanwhile, we got some picnic tables. Meanwhile, we put a new roof on, and we all ate together.
Love that.
It was just a wonderful experience of like bringing groups together in settings that they may or may not normally be in, and just showcasing like what people are doing in your own community that you may not even know. So those are two situations that did involve some construction, but also like it was way bigger than just those two individual things.
Yes. So much more than just a construction project. I love that.
So I'll go with a couple of the smaller projects that we did this year. Earlier this year, it was kind of in the summer, one of our friends contacted us and said, we need some help. And his mother-in-law had on her two grandchildren, two boys, and they had come from Arizona from a difficult situation, and they were living with the mother. And they didn't have anything. They came from Arizona. They had nothing. They just got on the plane and came to live with grandma. And so he said, can you help? So I took them to Target, and I bought them a cart full of new school clothes, shoes, and they each got a toy. But the little guy, there was two. There was an older boy, I would say he was about 10, and then there was a little guy, maybe about 6. He had me take pictures of him with every mannequin.
Yes.
And and it was one of those moments where you talk about impact, that I said, I'm going to let him take as many pictures as he wants me to take of him with these mannequins. Yeah, because he's just a little guy. He's been through a rough road here. Yeah. So if he wants to have fun with me in Target, we're going to have fun.
I love it.
That was a huge one. And I still think about him, and I ask about him a lot. So that was really impactful. And that's making me a little emotional. So And another one was this Christmas, we had someone who reached out who just kind of said, you know what, my son, he's never had a bed and could you get him a bed? So we said, absolutely. And he'd never had his own bed sheets. And her older son had never had his own bed sheet. So we said, send us the Amazon list. Got everything on the list for him. They ended up having a great Christmas. So those are some of the little things that we do that, we do talk about. We doesn't necessarily get seen as much. Sure. So little things like that are part of the a la carte. And then the other avenue is where we do help the larger organizations. We've helped Family Promise of Hamilton County. We've helped New Hope of Indiana, the Primal Clay Parks, various different, we've helped the Isaiah House in the past, just various different charities. So we're still looking to grow that as well. But I think those little moments where you can just kind of help someone and, just to have a better life, a better experience, and just kind of get through a rough patch. Yeah, sometimes that's all we need is just to get through that rough moment. Sure. And those are the most impactful moments for me, I think.
I love that. We always say it's about, meeting people where they're at. And I feel like you guys do a really good job of uncovering, where people are at. And then you guys just pour in for what that need is. So I love to see that. So if anybody was wanting to get involved with Universal Cares, whether that be through volunteering or donating, where do they go? How do they start?
I would say go to our website, universal-cares.com. And that's just got like our generic information in there. And there's information about our events. There's information about some of the stuff we've been doing, but then it's got our info app, email, and really get in contact with Jill was what I would say. Oftentimes, as because it's a la carte and because they're little moments that aren't fully publicized, we were talking before, but there's not a mission critical message that we can deliver other than we want to take your money and then authentically use it to help people and then tell you exactly what we did, right? There's nothing. The only thing we need to pay for are some of the events for that so that we can get more money and to have Jill and some other, and perhaps in the future, 1 or 2 more full-timers to help just continue to spread all of the goodness that we have inside of us. And so if somebody wanted to help, there would be a couple ways. One, you could show up to an event and help volunteer. So that might be just doing a landscaping project. That might just be, we do a pretty decent job of making it known to the folks that help us, our volunteers, like, hey, we need 5 or 6 people for this thing, or hey, we're going to need 50 people because we're going to help on this whole park. So there's a handful of those. If you wanted to volunteer at our events or sign up for our events, we have 3, 4. We do a pickleball tournament, softball slam fest, so a little softball tournament, which is fun, a golf outing. And then we had like a nice dinner in the fall as well. So a couple different ways for people to get involved there. And then lastly, and the most important one is and the easiest way for us to bring you into our little community of families, if you have somebody that's in need, let us help you first. Let us provide you value. And then you'll see that there's so much more that people need and there's more that you can give. So that would be the best way.
Love it. Great. Well, Sam, Jill, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. I do appreciate the opportunity.
And that's check this out.
Okay.